going on, everybody? It's Geoff Grammer with the ABQJournal, Journal, and I'm here in the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, Missouri. About, 46 minutes now from tip-off before UNM Lobos and Nebraska Cornhuskers in the Hall of Fame Classic, game 1 of 2. The later game will be Kansas State and Mississippi State with everyone's old friend Chris Jans coaching the Mississippi State Bulldogs. I know UNM fans certainly fondly remember Chris Jans and his time at NMSU when he had a winning record against the Lobos, beating up on primarily the Paul Weir. Not primarily, he beat up on the Paul Weir Lobos because he was the one who replaced Paul Weir when Paul Weir came up from New Mexico State to coach the Lobos. But today's game for the Lobos, taking on Big Ten's Nebraska Cornhuskers. It is the Josiah Allick Invitational. Josiah Allick, the former Lobo who started his career at UMKC. We're in Kansas City, then he transferred to UNM, then he transferred to Nebraska, so got all kinds of ties with Josiah here. I did text Josiah, and he has no time for my silliness and did not text me back. He's also playing in the G League right now, so he is playing for the Greensboro, the Swarm? The Greensboro Swarm is who Josiah is playing for. He just killed it over in Australia this past year and made first team, I believe it was, and he now made the G League team, so good for Josiah. Today's game, no injuries that I'm told about. I'm looking and watching right now. You guys can see right here in the side of the court closest to media row where I am sitting. You can see the Lobos. As far as I know, everybody's suited up. I'm looking around. I wasn't told anybody's injured. I see Uriah Tenet out there. He was the last injured player. He played at New Mexico State on Saturday. His ankle is fine. Dayton Albury's out there warming up. His ankle must be fine. So I don't see any surprise injuries that I didn't know about and wasn't told about. So looks like all hands are on deck for the Lobos today against Nebraska, and it'll be a tough one. They're opened up as about 6.5, 7-point favorites, depending on where you got your line. It's now moved up to about 8.5. I thought it'd be an 8 or a 9-point game, so it's kind of sitting right now where I thought it would. Got Uriah Tenet's dad right over there. Made the road trip, so of course Uriah is going to play if Dad made the trip from Prescott. So there we are. And see if I recognize any other parents over there. I don't right now, but Uriah. Anyway, Uriah's dad is here. Uriah's dad's been at all the games except what was last Tuesday in Albuquerque. That was UC Riverside. He missed the UC Riverside game, and when I left that Saturday night game against UT Arlington, he was in the parking lot. He lost his keys. So there you go. Uriah Tenet. Second game of in his college basketball career. His dad lost the keys and couldn't drive back to Arizona after the game. So, Richie, what's up? Glad you're joining us. Richie, I imagine if you're here, you have got to be at work because every time we do one of these shows, you're at work and happy to have something that's distracting you from work. Let's see. Make this hour fly by because 2 hours till my lunch. There we go. I knew you were at work. Every time we do a show, Richie, you are checking in from work, and I appreciate you doing so. All right. Jeff on YouTube is asking, guessing the Lobo starting 5 to be Albury, Jake, Howell, Tomislav. That is a good guess, but I have not been – pull up stat broadcast. I can't imagine an hour before the game they've put them in. They usually put the starting lineups in, maybe as early as a half hour early, but it's usually more like 15 minutes before the game is when they get uploaded on the statbroadcast.com, which is where you will find the stats today. No starting lineups are in yet, but yeah, I'd be surprised if that's not the starting 5. That's been their starting 5 when everyone's healthy. That'll be their starting 5 today, is my guess, and it should be like their starting 5. If you break down the numbers and by lineup, their starting 5 has been fine. Starting 5 outscored New Mexico State in the loss on Saturday. It was only by 1, but it's all it takes. So when the starting 5 was on the court together, it outscored New Mexico State. It was when they had to go to the bench that there were actually 2 New Mexico groups of 5, and I always look at the different lineups after the game just to see if there's anything that stands out. And there were actually 2 sets of 5 that had -7. And when you're talking a game that was a 2-point game in the final minute, like that's to have 2 of your lineups go -7 and have to gain those 14 points back somewhere else. Like that's rough. So there are some combinations of this Lobo team that just aren't working well together, and that's sort of what they're trying to figure out early in the year. That's what a team that has 14 new players and an entirely new coaching staff is trying to figure out this time of year. I do think people kind of overlook the coaching staff part of it because while New Mexico State has a lot of new players, they had 2 players back, but neither one of them played significant minutes. They had an entire coaching staff that was on the same page and knew what they were looking for all offseason, knew how to coach this drill and that drill to the head coach's liking. Like, they were all on the same page, and like that speeds up the progress a little bit. This New Mexico team looks right now like a team that is still learning each other, and I think they're going to be a pretty good team at some point, and I think they're a decent team now. I know there are some Lobo fans that have already jumped ship. Why wouldn't you? You know, two weeks into the season when they're 3-1 in a Mountain West with nobody really dominating the league, why wouldn't you already jump ship on a brand new team? But I know some of you are a little impatient, and that's okay. I covered a decade without a postseason, so I understand that the fans of this team are a little worried that you know, they don't want it to go back to that. So let's go, Geoff. I appreciate you for being on. I still don't know about the dollar per story though, so I don't know about that one, man. I've asked and I have not gotten an answer. How are the assistant coaches doing so far this season? That's a good question, man. Like, this isn't a complaint, but part of the new era of Lobo basketball with a coach and a staff that's never been covered. And remember at UC San Diego, they were the third in the pecking order in San Diego, and that was after, you know, Mark Ziegler was covering the San Diego State Aztecs, and then they'd cover some USD stuff, and then UC San Diego might get some coverage. So they'd get a feature story written about them a couple times a year. They're not student paper out there, but they did have some student podcasts out there. I know that they're just not used to being covered. So because of that, like, practices aren't open. There's not a whole lot of interaction. I know all these coaches. I text with them as much as I can. Like, they're just not used. Frankly, they're not used to a reporter checking in with them all the time. They're not used to any of this. And I couldn't tell you for sure, like, if they're doing good or not, because I just don't know this team well enough to know exactly what all their specific assignments are and to grade them out on that. All super nice guys. Nobody's ever given me the cold shoulder or giving me the runaround or anything like that. It's just so new to everybody out there on the court. It's new to me. I've never covered a team that in my entire reporting career, I've never covered a team that didn't know that reporters want to come talk to them, you know? So it's kind of weird. Like, yeah, I want to go to practices. I want to see what they're doing and learn more about the team. And they're just not quite used to that just yet. So hopefully we'll get there and I can learn a little more about the team as we go along and share that stuff with you guys. Lewis is asking, have you ever seen Olin get upset and scold any player? Yeah, he was during the game in Las Cruces quite a bit. But yeah, he's the most mellow coach I've covered. Mike Roberts is the only coach on the team that yells. But yeah, this is not a yelling roster. Mike Roberts, who came up from the Bobby Knight coaching tree, is the only yeller on the team. None of these assistant coaches are yellers, and it's sort of a lot more modern, again, sort of NBA style sort of thing where like the players aren't treated as much, and I know some people don't like this, but the players aren't treated as much as certainly not treated like as equals or colleagues or anything like that. But like they're not treated like subordinate to yell at to get what they need to, what you want to get out of them. They're sort of treated as like, okay, we're all working together to try and accomplish the same thing. There's Craig Robinson, the executive director of the NABC, just walked by, former Oregon State coach, of course, former NBA executive. But Craig Robinson just walked by, and this is the NABC's Hall of Fame Classic. And anyway, yeah, I've not seen Olin yell a whole lot because that's just not the setup here. They're like, players mess up, they're not in trouble. They just try and teach them how to fix what they did and move on and kind of go that route. It is not about like, hey, you didn't turn in your report on time, or hey, you didn't turn in your time card on time. What the hell's wrong with you, kind of thing. Like, that style of coaching is not exactly what they're doing at UNM, and there are fans that do not like that. That said, yeah, he gets emotional. An arena can be loud, so you have to yell to get your point across sometimes, and in the spur of a moment, sometimes you got to get that point across quick. And yes, I have seen him yell some, but he is not a yeller, not like Patino was, and Patino wasn't exactly a yeller like a Craig Neal was, or certainly like a Bobby Knight or somebody. And like I said, Mike Roberts, the one guy on the staff who's a yeller. He yells all the time. If you show up to a Lobo practice, you would think because of the yelling that Mike Roberts might be the head coach, and Eric Olin's not about that. Like, he's rather out there teaching and coaching. And you go to an NBA practice, you're not seeing a whole lot of yelling. You go to a lot of high-level college practices, and with the exception of a couple, Mick Cronin for one, obviously. Tom Izzo still maybe does some of it. Like, even high-level college teams, they've gone away a long time ago from the amount of yelling that I think people expect now. It's the yelling's a lot more of a high school level thing in my mind. But here we go. Have I ever had barbecue? Oh, have I had barbecue yet? Yeah, I went to this great place they call Arby's. Got some good barbecue. No, I have not done barbecue yet, and I am planning tomorrow for lunch to go. I'm hoping to go to I think is it Slaps? I believe it is. Is that the place everyone keeps telling me to go? I think I'm going to try and go to Slaps and get some barbecue there. Let me reply to a text message here. Sorry about that, guys. What do we got here? But yeah, Larry, I'm not coming out to KC without getting barbecue. I promise you that. To be totally honest, I'm a little disappointed that I haven't yet. Stanley is in on YouTube. Stanley Romero. No one has given the Lobos a chance for a win. Interesting. Go Lobos. Yeah, I mean, look, the better team today is Nebraska for early in the year. I don't know that they're going to be the better team at the end of the year. I do think this is a Lobo team that is not – it is ridiculous to sort of turn the page on them already, like some Lobo fans, frankly, already have, and they see all that. It's weird, man. It is a weird mindset 2 weeks into this season to have players being already added on social media. Like, man, you guys aren't very good. It's just such a weird dynamic, and I don't get it, man. Adam Valdez on YouTube. I hope hope they are improving. They need to get better. Of course they do. So does everybody. And I will tell you in about 2.5 hours if they're any better than I think they were on Saturday. And I think on Saturday they were not awful. Obviously not good enough to be the New Mexico State team. That's the best New Mexico State team that Hooten's had. Probably the best New Mexico State team since Chris Jans was there. And Chris Jans obviously being here at this event at Mississippi State. This is the best New Mexico State team in 4 or 5 years. So, it wasn't like a horrible loss, but it was a loss, and it's inexcusable. You lose to New Mexico State, and fans don't like it, and you have every right to do that because this is a program that asks its fans to invest in the product, and you do. You Lobo fans do invest in this product, so you have every right to be upset with them. I would say that at 3-1, 2 weeks into the season, it's a little premature to say some of the stuff that some people have already been saying on social media, but oh well. Patino yelled all the time. Patino did not yell at his players all that often. Patino yelled a lot. Patino cussed a lot and did those kind of things. But if you're asking me, does he yell at a player? Like, he doesn't yell at a player. He yells a lot. Like, what the bleep are you guys thinking? What was that about? Like this and that. Like he'll yell to get his point across, but he's not yelling at a player like, you did this, you screwed up. Like Patino was not the yeller that Craig Neal was. Patino was not the yeller Steve Alford was. That's for sure. But he did yell and cuss a lot because we had people complaining to the Journal about that quite a bit too, which is another kind of weird, let me talk to your manager kind of thing that some Lobo fans that sit around the bench used to do. That was weird too. Have the Lobos played in Kansas City since they lost to Stanford in the NCAA under Craig Neal? Now, they played in St. Louis when they lost to Stanford in the NCAA tournament. They played in Kansas City earlier that year against Kansas with Joel Embiid and Andrew Wiggins, and it was in the same arena. Interestingly enough, when they played in St. Louis and lost to Stanford, who was a 10 seed that year, the same Kansas team that they lost to in this building lost in the second round to Stanford, who went on to the Sweet 16. And no, this is the first time they've been in Kansas City since then. And I did have a note about all that in my game preview today, so I covered all that in the game preview. That is online now on abqjournal.com. And yeah, that Kansas team had 5 future NBA players and an All-American in Perry Ellis, who didn't even make the NBA. And that Lobo team had 2 future NBA players, and Alex Kirk and Cameron Bairstow. Cam Bairstow and Kendall Williams, as I noted in the story today, both had 24 points in that game, but nobody else did much of anything, and the Lobos just could not keep up in the second half against that loaded Kansas team, who was a 2 seed in that NCAA tournament and then lost to Stanford in the round of 32. Huskers by 17 is what Jeffrey Davis says. Could be. Do you think it's possible for this roster to rebound better like Olin says they will? I definitely think they could rebound better because they haven't rebounded very well beyond Tomislav Buljan. I say that Dayton Albury is actually rebounding very well out of the point guard spot. So, yes, I do think they can rebound better. Do I think they can rebound as well as a Boise State or a San Diego State? Well, I mean, not Boise State against a Division II opponent, or not a San Diego State against Troy. Those 2 teams didn't rebound very well in those 2 games, but those 2 teams at their best, if we're kind of using that as the Mountain West benchmark, and that's what people should use as the Mountain West benchmark for rebounding, this team will never be as good rebounding as them. I think Tomislav Buljan can be a better rebounder than any individual player that those 2 teams have, but the drop-off from Tomislav to whoever, I couldn't even tell you who the second best rebounder on this Lobo team is right now, whoever the second best rebounder is, on any given night it should be Antonio Chol, but we haven't seen that every night, so I do think they can be a better rebounding team for sure. And certainly haven't shown that they're going to be a dominating rebound team. They're dead last in the Mountain West right now in offensive rebound rate, whereas Tomislav Buljan's one of the top 5 or 6 players in the whole country in offensive rebound rate. To have like the leading Mountain West individual offensive rebounder and for the team still to be dead last in that same category is kind of crazy what the drop-off is after Tomislav. Yeah, the parasocial relationships with the players is not healthy for anyone. That's true. It is everywhere. I'm not naive enough to think it's only a New Mexico Lobo and New Mexico Lobo fan base thing, but New Mexico Lobo fan base is pretty extreme among the fan bases I've seen because they do care so much about basketball, right? Like Lobo basketball is only because of the fan base. It's not because of any success the team has had. So they take some ownership that some other fan bases maybe don't. And I think because of that, sometimes they feel like, I know this player. I rooted for him since he signed. So like he knows me. He knows I can talk to him like a brother, like a cousin or whatever, like he's part of the family. And then all of a sudden you see people adding players like why would they be offended that I just told them they suck and they ruined my whole weekend? Well, that's because you just told them they suck and they ruined your whole weekend, like that kind of stuff. Like there's a disconnect between some fans and the relationship they think they have with 18, 19, 20, well, in this case, all the way up to 23-year-old players on the Lobo team. They're pretty old. As new as they all are, they are pretty old. Jeff is in on YouTube saying, to be fair, last year UC San Diego, lost at home to Seattle and then went and got the Big West Championship. So I think Olin should be at least familiar with this situation and know how to bring the team together. They lost the game to Seattle. They also beat Utah State in the non-conference in Logan. So they had some big wins early on. But Olin didn't just come out of nowhere last year. He has 290 coaching wins, and some were D2, some were while they were transitioning to a Division I program. But Eric Olin has more wins than Jason Hooten does down at New Mexico State, right? Like this is a guy who's coached an awful lot of basketball games. Or is it more wins than Hoiberg, I think maybe is what I should have said there. I remember typing in all the coaching wins when I do the game boxes before every game. But point is, like, Eric Olin isn't new to coaching by any stretch. Like, he's been around the block, just not on the block that everyone was paying attention to because it wasn't the Division I block for such a long time. Daniel Villapondo on YouTube is saying, go Lobos, college basketball games are exciting to watch. You never know. Lobos could pull it off. They absolutely could. Like, this Nebraska team's not great enough that I'm going to write off any chance the Lobos have of winning this game. I mean, they're, 40th in Ken Palm or something like that. They did just beat Oklahoma. The 3 games before that weren't anything to, like, say, oh, wow, they're that good, huh? They did just give up quite a few points, too, to Oklahoma. Let me see what their defensive efficiency is. Nebraska right now, in ranked 42nd right now in Ken Palm, does have the nation's longest active win streak at 8 because they did win the crown last year. That was the 4-game tournament that they won last year, and then they won the first 4 games this year. Right now, defensively, they're ranked 90th in the country in KenPom and 22nd offensively. But that defense is what UNM is hoping for. Like, there's some cracks in that defense that they hope maybe they can get going. Now, I say that, you guys know as well as I do that the Lobos defense hasn't yet, Lobos offense rather, hasn't yet lit it up in a game. So who's to say they're going to do it today? We'll see, right? But yeah, Nebraska so far this year beat West Georgia, ranked 308 in KenPom, 212 Florida International, and 345 Maryland Eastern Shore before they just played a neutral court game against Oklahoma on Saturday. They did beat Oklahoma 105-99. In that game, Oklahoma scored 1.38 points per possession. I can tell you right now, if the Lobos get anywhere near 1.38 points per possession, there's a good chance the Lobos have a good chance of pulling this off. Like, that's the Lobos' hope, is let's get into a shootout. If they're going to let us get into a shootout like they did with Oklahoma, that's the Lobos out here, right? That's their chance. All right. Craig Johnson's in. Jeffrey, where's Nebraska picked in the Big Ten? No idea. I mean, I can look it up for us, but I have no idea what Nebraska was picked in the Big Ten. I know they're 42nd in KenPom right now. So let's see here. Big Ten preseason basketball poll. Seeing a whole lot of Big Ten power rankings, but I'm not seeing Big Ten actual poll. All right, Big Ten. Preseason. Looking at their conference website right now, they don't even have the preseason pull up. I don't know, 8th, 9th, 10th, something like that probably. It's an 18-team league, but I have no idea what Nebraska was picked in the preseason. I know they're a much better team in every ranking than New Mexico is, and that's why they're favored right now. Let's go to Vegas Insider, see what the current line is on Vegas Insider. VegasInsider.com has this game right now. Yeah, 8.5 at every spot, 7.5 at FanDuel. Actually, 7.5 at Hard Rock as well. So 7.5 at a couple spots, 8.5 at some others. So either 7.5 or 8.5 is what this game is projected to be by the computers. If you're looking at KenPom, this line was predicted at 80-73. So 7 points there for Nebraska, 80-73. If the Lobos get into the 80s, though, like, man, they got a good shot, because I really think their defense is going to be able to slow down Nebraska just a little bit. And if they can get their offense rolling, maybe they have a chance. Getting a lot of people calling me right now, guys. Like, must have forgot I'm on a show. A lot of people that should know. All right, Stanley Romero is saying on YouTube, so far did Nebraska go last year in the tournament? They won the Crown. They won the Crown tournament last year, went 4-0. In that tournament, the same tournament Boise State was in, but they did not make the NCAA tournament. Larry's saying Nebraska can shoot threes, so that's a bad match for UNM. UNM does want teams to shoot threes, and it comes down to whether or not they hit them, right? Like, New Mexico gave up 8 threes over their first 2 games and gave up 24 threes in the next 2 games. So kind of pick your poison a little bit. Nebraska's shooting all those threes. They are shooting just a hair under 50% now. They're at 49% of three-point attempts. So of their field goal attempts, half of them are from the three-point range, and the other half is inside the arc. So if they're going to shoot 50% of their shots from beyond the arc, you can hold them to certainly below 35%, but you're going to want them at 30% or below that if they're going to shoot that many volume threes. And then the rebounding and the long rebounding in particular come into play for the Lobos, and whether or not they can handle that. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But UNM would rather a team shoot the three, because their primary defensive goal every game, it's all predicated on not letting teams get into the paint with ease, So if that team's not even going to try and do that as often as some other teams that they've played so far, then they can start cheating out a little bit more on the perimeter than they normally do. And that's the point. All right? Like that's what Nebraska is going to make them do, because you're right, Larry. Like Nebraska shoots a ton of threes, 50%. I think they're 22nd or so in the country in three-point attempt rate. So Lobos lock in it down tonight, says Royce on YouTube. You sure UNM ain't a football school? They are going to a bowl game this year. I will point out, in FBS football, more than 50% of the schools make a bowl game. In NCAA Division I basketball, was it like 20% make the NCAA tournament? So the standards are, the measuring stick and the goalposts and all that good stuff are certainly different between the two programs. But, man, there is excitement for Lobo football, and that's good. In fact, I will tell you, Jason Eck's dad and I were talking on the phone this morning. I don't see him here yet, but Jay Eck is here. And Jay Eck is former basketball coach and telling me stories about Jason. And, Jay Eck's here watching Lobo basketball. I will definitely try and get a picture of him and share that. Yeah, Jay Eck is a big Lobo basketball fan too. So much so that he is in Kansas City now. He's in Kansas City with a buddy of his who has a connection on the Nebraska team. But point is, he travels around and goes to a lot of basketball games, including making sure he came to this one to see the Lobos. And I hung out with him at a Lobo basketball practice for a few hours one day, and he came to their shoot-around this morning. So Jay Eck loves this basketball team, and Jason Eck, his son, is doing pretty good with Lobo football. That's for sure. Lobo football, who does have their first winning season since 2016 today, or clinched this year, so that's good. Stanley and Nebraska won the postseason tourney last year. They have the nation's longest winning streak currently, 8 games. That is correct. How is your relationship with Coach Olin compared to Pitino? Night and day, totally different. I'm good friends with Richard Pitino, still am. Still talk with Richard Pitino regularly. I just don't know Coach Olin very well at all, but nothing negative. We just don't know each other. He appears to be extremely brief with his answers to your questions. Yeah, most coaches are. I mean, most coaches aren't what Richard Pitino was, and that's a talker. Like that's what the Patinos are, right? They can pick up a mic and win the press conference. Eric Olin is a super nice guy. I have no problems with Eric Olin, but he's if he's only to be judged by his answers to me in a press conference, I would agree that it may not always look great. I have more of a problem with the fact that we're not allowed to go to practices. Football lets the Journal at 5 practices a week, and basketball has not been allowed at a practice since October 15th, 3 weeks before the season started. So that's kind of weird. But I don't have any problem with the actual working relationship with Eric Olin and I. I do think it starts affecting the coverage. I mean, there's no question our numbers aren't what they were last year, as people just aren't getting the same access they were last year, and that's unfortunate. Hopefully we can keep covering them and coming to these games, but not when access gets cut, that's for sure. All right, Mike is in on X. I saw today Nebraska has never won an NCAA tournament game. I was surprised. I did not know that. You are educating me. BT's in on YouTube. Crown Tourney is a pay-in tournament. Am I correct? The Crown Tourney is not a pay-in tournament. It is an NIL tournament that pays. It is Fox Sports related, and we're just looking at it before the game, and all the Fox media partners get their top 2 teams in. Boise State was in it, but the winning team gets NIL money directly to pay players. So it is not like the CBT or one of those where you're buying your way in. It is a tournament in Vegas that is paying an awful lot of money to the winning team to go to players' NIL money. David Valdez is in. Geoff has the best job in America. I do like my job, man. Royce is in. When you win the crown, you getting paid. You ain't losing money. That is correct. There were teams turning down the NIT last year to go play in the crown. That's why San Jose State was made it to the NIT, because the NIT needed players or needed teams, and San Jose State, with the losing record, played in the NIT. So there you go. Trying to pull up the starting lineup, see if they've updated the starting lineups yet. They have not. I will say that I was saying just before the show, I was telling Steve Kirkland, the SID for UNM, Because I'm out in Kansas City, and I, like some of you that follow me on social media know, yesterday I was on the same flight as the UNM men's and women's cross country team, who are coming out to Columbia, Missouri, on Saturday to compete in the NCAA championship men's and women's cross country Division I men's and women's cross country championships, and they have a chance, man. The two podium chances. I don't know if podium in cross country is top 5 or top 3, but they have a chance at both. Both teams have a chance to be top 3, which would be a first in program history. But beyond that, the men have a fairly good chance of winning it, and the women have a decent chance of winning it. So it is possible that the UNM cross-country program will have 2 national championships in 48 hours. And because I am 2 hours away, I extended my trip through Sunday so I can, after tomorrow night's games, wake up bright and early and drive 2 hours east of here to get to the University of Missouri and cover a cross-country meet in the cold in the morning and see if the UNM Lobos can possibly win some hardware and possibly win individual and team national championships, which is just crazy. David Valdez on X. Are the Lobos an NIT, Crown, or NCAA tournament team in your opinion? I don't know. It's so early in the season. I wouldn't say they're an NCAA tournament team right now, just because I don't think the Mountain West is getting more than 2 teams in this year. And I picked them 4th. I still think New Mexico's right about 4th in the Mountain West. Wouldn't downgrade them for any reason. There's nothing the Mountain West has done to tell me that UNM at 3-1 should be downgraded. Just because they haven't, they only won by 20 in their first 3 games against bad teams, and they lost a 2-point road game to the first decent team they played. I say 2-point. I keep going back to it's 2 points with 64 seconds to go. Ended up being an 8-point game because UNM didn't score once Albury fouled out, and NMSU did add at the free throw line. So it was an 8-point win, 76-68. But yeah, 2-point game on the road in a rivalry game that a worse NMSU team beat a better UNM team in the pit last year. Those games happen. I'm not downgrading UNM. I will say UNM is still the 4th best team in the Mountain West in my mind, and I will say that that does not get into the NCAA tournament this year because the Mountain West isn't going to be as good. So I would say that would make them one of the other ones, right? The NIT is not the tournament people want to get in anymore, so maybe the Crown. If they get invited to the Crown, they would certainly go take their chances there and see if they can make some money there. Either opponent tomorrow will be brutal. Yeah, I think the expectations are probably a better matchup today, but it'll be a rough physical matchup tomorrow. What the Lobos do have going for them against a rough physical team like that is the New Mexico State game was along those lines, right? So they've kind of gotten that game out of their way a little bit where they played a physical team, and I thought they fared fine. Now, these 2 teams are much better than New Mexico State. I'm just saying the style of play they got for the first time, they at least got that out of the way, and if it's called tight, who knows, right? I don't think either one of those teams is a great shooting team. As I say that, I'm gonna have to pull up their numbers. I was looking at all the teams in this tournament, and if I remember correctly, nothing about their overall effective field goal percentage is going to scare me. So I'll go back and look at that. But yeah, I think the Lobos obviously better matchup probably is today's game than it is in any one of the 2 potential opponents tomorrow, Mississippi State or Kansas State. All right, JG Golf is in on YouTube, saying, not sure how much you're following UCLA now as well, but are you surprised at how little of a role Donovan Dent is playing? I don't think Donovan Dent's playing a small role. I think he started off as a pretty big role. Let's see how small of a role he's playing. So Donovan Dent is the major use. He's the number 1 usage guy on the team. So he's involved in more possessions, meaning possessions that end, offensive possessions that end in either a shot or an assist. He's involved in more than any. So he's the highest usage on the team. He has played in 4 of the 5 games UCLA has played. He has played 36 minutes, 35 minutes, 35 minutes, and he did play 24 minutes in their blowout win the other day against Sacramento. But yeah, he played 35 out of 40 minutes in his first 3 games. So I definitely wouldn't say Donovan's not in a big role. He's their number 1 usage guy according to the stats. He's their number 1 minutes guy according to the stats. And assists 9, 4, 8, and 7. Those are higher average of assists than he had at UNM. So Make sure I read that right. Are you surprised in how little of a role Dent is playing? Yeah, I guess, I mean, if you just look at Sacramento State, and he played 24 minutes, that was a blowout. So in that game, that's what I would expect. I guess I'm not surprised. Sorry. He is hurt. The Donovan Dent thing is he is hurt. Dent looks like a Korean League superstar next year. That UCLA team looks bad. I disagree with both of those. I mean, I don't know about the Korean League superstar. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but I don't think UCLA is bad. I think they are not top 10, and I had them top 10 early in the year. I had them ranked higher than anybody, and I definitely adjusted that right as I saw them. But, I mean, all things are relative, right? Like, if you're saying UCLA is bad, like, Jesus, no wonder UNM fans have such jaded expectations. That UCLA team is a top 25 worthy team, and I don't understand why that would be called bad. David Valdez, if they win 2 games in Kansas City, they're an NCAA team. Sure, I agree with that. This certainly would help them. David, right now, they are a Big West tournament team. Larry's opinion's definitely been known. He's been public, and he's been consistent with it. He's not fond of this roster at all. Jeffrey is in on YouTube. Now, he ain't hurt. Starting 5 was benched, not playing D. So he played 24 minutes is the lowest minutes game, and it was a 30-point win. And I guess he wasn't playing D, but he played 35 minutes, and 36 minutes. So I don't think he's been punished for much of anything. Dent ain't hurt, Royce is saying on YouTube. Those are theatrics. Just like Toppin missed a game. These teams hold players out with phantom injuries. It's called sports betting. Organized racketeering. All right. Could be, man. Could be. I hope we whip the Huskers. All right. Where does Nebraska sit on KP's KenPom rankings? They are 42. Are they favored in Big 1? Are they favored in Big 10? I assume is what that meant. Yeah, Big 10's your next comment. No, they're definitely not favored in the Big 10. No. I mean, they're not ranked. There's, 6, 7 teams ranked in the Big 10? I will tell you where they rank in the Big 10. In KenPom's ranking among Big 10 teams, Nebraska is they are 11th out of 18 teams. Beneath them is Northwestern, Washington, Oregon, Maryland, Penn State, Minnesota, Rutgers. Oregon, I think, are they ranked this week? I know they got a lot of votes. I saw some people ranked them fairly high, and Oregon's below them. But, yeah, I mean, right above Nebraska in the KenPom rankings anyway, out of Big 10 schools we're just talking. Number 35, Ohio State. 31, Iowa. 28, UCLA. And then the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The top 7 teams in KenPom's rankings are all top 25 ranked teams right now. So Justin Martinez, 6'7". There we go. Huh. 42 would make this a quad 1 win. Yeah, I mean, the quad rankings and the net ratings don't come out till the end of December or something like that. So I don't know. And the KenPom rankings aren't what would make this aren't what the net is and quad rankings are based on. If you guys look over there, beyond that head right there in front of us, some New Mexico flags over there. That's where the Lobos are apparently sitting. Wins a shootout, Olin or Hoiberg. I hear Olin has a J, but Hoiberg is a shooter. I've never seen either one of them shoot. Well, that's not true. I've seen Hoiberg shoot from when he played, but haven't seen Hoiberg shoot anytime recently, and I've never seen Eric Olin shoot. So I couldn't tell you. All right, who's the number 1 team in the league right now, in your opinion? Just wondering if your opinion has changed with San Diego State loss. No, San Diego State's still the best team. Utah State, Colorado State are both right there. But I would drop Boise State a lot lower than I had them. So I would say, number 1 still San Diego State. I would say number 2 and 3 kind of tied in some form in that. What are we doing here? Hold on. We are now doing the national anthem.
full of the faith that the past has taught. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought. Facing the rising sun on a day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stormy the road we trod, bitter and chastening rod, yet with the days of hope unborn and died, yet with the steady behind the weary feet, come to the place which our Father side. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come treading the path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past till now we stand and laugh. Get away soon where the bright star is cast.
Renee Williams with February Sensei.
All right, guys. I'm going to sign off here. All right. I'm going to follow that up a little. Woo! Yeah. Not a true road game. That is correct. This is a neutral court game. Grammer Vision is on. That's right, Ritter. Ritter and Gammer in the house. I think Lobo Nation is impatient when it comes to basketball. Let the guys play. I'm a second-generation fan, and I believe everything takes time. I'm facing a king to get there. I'm not internationally known, but I'm known to rock the microphone. Sorry. Keys to the game for Lobos win. Nebraska's going to shoot a bunch of threes, so obviously UNM's goal defensively is let a team shoot threes, but don't let them shoot them from their hot spots, and don't let the right guys shoot them or the wrong guys, depending on your perspective, right? So I would say the keys are you got to figure out how to make Nebraska not make all the threes that they're going to take. I don't think you totally give up on what your defensive priority is, which is not to let them get in the paint. I don't think you just say, okay, let them get in the paint instead. So. All right, UNM 78, Nebraska 67. There you go. There's a prediction for the Lobo side. No way this song is an anthem of any nation or state. Sounds like a middle school talent show. Yes, it had something to do with. Shoot, I wish I would have got the name of it. All I know is they asked everybody to stand, and everybody stood and listened. Okay, I'll ask, what song is playing in the arena? Right now, it's Ice Ice Baby. I know that much. Pose in. While I don't completely agree with the total lack of patience, it makes sense why some can be impatient, because nowadays it's more plausible to win year one in a program with money because you can pay players. Fair. But I will ask, what program can you use as an example? Are there a lot of examples of programs outside the power structure that in year one are doing a complete coaching staff and player roster turnover and competing right away? Because I don't know of any. It sounds right. Like, oh, you can pay players. So if you have money, you should be able to buy a new roster and you should be able to be good. I totally agree with that. From like kind of a it sounds right perspective. Just give me the example of where that's happening. Like I want to know what program, because if you look up and down the top 25, still the same teams that were there 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? Like what teams are consistently up there right now that weren't before they were paying players? For the most part, it's still the same, right? So I don't know who's new to the game in terms of teams. I'm talking like who's new to the being competitive kind of game, just because they're now sort of in a position where they're paying players. There's a reason. It takes time to turn things around. Look, one of the reasons Richard Pitino left for Xavier is because Xavier has like way more NIL money, and he got paid way more himself. But Xavier has way more money, and I think this New Mexico team is better than them. I think it's going to be interesting to see how patient people will be with this New Mexico team, because I do think they'll come around. I do think there's skill on this team, but obviously it is what it is, and the proof will be by the end of the year be in the pudding. So we'll see. Got someone watching from New York. I'm glad you're on, Nate. Appreciate you coming on. Who's the better of the two potential opponents tomorrow? I would have told you Mississippi State at the beginning of the year, but they've been struggling, man. Like, I don't know, man. Probably Kansas State. Mississippi State has Chris Jans. I'll take that matchup. And Texas Tech did it. Yeah, but if you're saying Texas Tech wasn't competitive at all beforehand and only got competitive with money, I mean, I guess. It certainly helped them, that's for sure. Nobody has money like Texas Tech. I guarantee you UNM doesn't have Texas Tech money. They would have kept JT Toppin if they did. So you might be right. Texas Tech might be the example of a team that has a ton of money and is now at a different level. But UNM ain't that team. Like they don't have that kind of money. So people thinking UNM should be competitive because they have money, it ain't that kind of money, that's for sure. If you look at the history of Texas Tech, I mean, we're talking Chris Beard in 2017 had him top 40. So pretty much Chris Beard taking over in 2017 when he took over from Tubby Smith. It's been a decade now that they've been pretty good. And Mark Adams' years, look, they were ranked 12th and 21st. They weren't bad, but yeah, they're pretty good now. So anyway, thank you guys. I'm signing off now. We're going to do the real national anthem now. I apologize for saying it was the national anthem earlier. And tune in to ABQJournal.com for all our coverage and afterwards and well. So appreciate it.
This time we request that you please remove your hats and place your right